No, it's quite complete.
Then what is it?
Nothing important.
Something is wrong, my son. You haven't been yourself for days. Is there something we need to talk about?
It'll be fine.
Are you hiding something from me?
I feel unworthy.
What do you mean?
You praise me too much, Paul. What did you write to our brothers in Philippi? I have no one else of a disposition like his.
Who, like a son with a father, slaved with me for the furtherance of the good news. I mean that.
I know you do. But I can't live up to these words. You've always seen more in me than I see in myself. Why?
Do you remember when we first met?
How could I forget? Almost 15 years ago. I thought we had lost you.
Yes, Lystra almost became my grave. How your family nursed me when I returned from Derby. That memory will always be with me. Do you recall how we would sit for hours and talk?
You opened my eyes to a world I never even knew existed. I still call to mind your words. How are those multitudes here without someone to preach? Then you spoke of Macedonia, of Athens, of Rome, even of Spain. You envisioned congregations of fellow believers springing up everywhere around the Great Sea.
And when we spoke of missionary service, I saw your eyes light up. I saw your sincere faith, a faith that dwelled first in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice.
They set a fine example.
Yes, but it was you who chose to follow their example. When you helped to care for my wounds, I saw empathy in your eyes. And when we talked about working for the Lord, there was excitement in your heart. You displayed unwavering loyalty, and I came to have confidence in you.
I so much wanted to help you with the work.
That's my point. When I returned to Lystra some 3 years later, you had grown into a capable young man. It was then I realized that my prayers were answered.
You've mentioned that before.
Silas and I needed help. Mark had left us, and Barnabas was no longer with me. The brothers had nothing but praise for you. And when we laid our hands upon you, it was revealed to us that Jehovah had further work for you.
How I appreciate God's hand in these matters.
You have truly made your advancement manifest. So when I write that I have no one else of this disposition, it is the truth.
But many have worked hard in spreading the good news.
Yes, but you are the one who has stuck with me through all these years, through all the tears and all the trials.
Who could have passed up such a privilege to see the good news preached in all the world under heaven?
Many young men with your gifts have. Think about it. Would your father have chosen this course for you? You spoke of your friend, Jonathan. Would he have recommended this? Look at where you are. Look at me. You are with a person who's in prison. This cannot be what others envisioned for you. In fact, I doubt you even envisioned this for yourself.
Maybe not. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. What could give greater satisfaction? Higher learning? Wealth? They can't compare. Thanks to Jehovah, I am rich. I've received the best education a man can have.
Is it any wonder then, Timothy, that you've become like a dear child to me?
Ah, here was that done. By the gods, Paul! You and your troublemaking friends, your brothers, will not shut your mouths, will you?
We found this one babbling about that miracle-working Messiah to one of our men. Do you realize your subversive lunacy has destroyed some of our best families in Rome?
We cannot stop speaking about what we have seen and heard.
Paul, this is not a matter to be taken lightly. If I ever catch you or your friends sharing any more of your laughable ideas with my men of the Praetorian Guard, you will receive no more visitors. Or worse.
God is our helper. We're not afraid. What can men do to us? Did they hurt you, my son?
No, I'm fine. I've learned to deal with that kind of persecution. What I've never been able to adjust to are the disagreements within the congregation. And to handle these situations without your help, Paul, I'm just not ready.
Your next assignment, Ephesus.
We met with our Ephesian brothers in Miletus, 5 years ago? You warned them that oppressive wolves would mistreat the flock.
We cautioned them that these would arise from right among them. Now I understand this lack of confidence you're experiencing. Whether it's the love of money, the desire for prominence, or the desires of the flesh, some of our brothers have been led astray.
That's what concerns me.
Timothy, you are well qualified to shepherd our brothers in Ephesus, to readjust some of our fellow Christians there, and to warn certain persons there to stop spreading false teachings.
I'm worried about my friend Jonathan. He and his family moved to Ephesus more than 10 years ago.
Do you think he's going astray?
He appears to be prospering materially, but sometimes I wonder how the move has affected his family spiritually. In his letters, he seems more determined than ever to become rich. It seems that he's holding on to the truth only by a thread.
That's why I'm sending you, to help our brothers get a firm hold on the real life.
This may be my most difficult assignment yet. Some of the brothers there have been in the truth nearly as long as I've been alive.
Let no one look down on your youth. See to it that they look up to you as an example in speech, behavior, faith, and love.
How can I do that?
Don't allow the subtle influences of this world to sidetrack you. Especially could that be a problem in a place like Ephesus. Give your whole attention to spiritual pursuits so that your progress is plain for all to see.
I pray that Jehovah give me the spirit and power I need to do that.
My son, God will finish your training.
I will sorely miss you, Paul. I feel as if I'm leaving my family all over again.
And I will miss you. But wherever you are, you will be in my thoughts and prayers. It's time to think about departing.
Will I ever see you again?
I hope so. Timothy,
Yes.
you are ready, my son.
My friend Timothy. It has been such a long time. We are so delighted to have you back in Ephesus. When I heard you were coming, I wasn't about to miss this meeting.
I'm glad, Jonathan. How's Persis?
Good. She's home nursing our newborn.
Is that your third?
4th. 3 daughters and a son who's about to turn 11.
Timothy, good to see you are doing well.
Oh, Philetus, excuse me. Timothy and I have a lot to catch up on. Timothy, you do remember Philetus, don't you?
Yes, of course. Jonathan often speaks of you in his letters.
And nearly everyone has spoken of you, Timothy.
Philetus is generous and well-respected in the congregation and in the city.
Some teach, others preach, and I give what I can.
He's helped so many brothers make a good living. Thanks to Philetus, I am finally achieving some of the goals I set when I left Lystra.
I'm happy for you, Jonathan. And how are you doing in the congregation?
Well, I mean, I'm here, am I not?
You know that's not what I'm asking you about.
Jonathan is a fine brother. He does what he can as a young man with a family. Now you, Timothy, you're a man in your prime with great potential. What are your plans here in Ephesus?
I came to minister to the friends here in Ephesus. Paul has assigned me to help the congregation.
Our brother Paul. Is he still in prison?
Brother Philetus, you and all the brothers are aware that Paul is no longer in prison. So why would you ask that?
Well, you just never know with our brother Paul from one day to the next. Anyway, it was so tragic to hear you suffered along with him, Timothy. Paul is getting along in years, but you've got your best years ahead of you. Is it true that Paul wants you to live a life of self-denial?
A life of self-denial? No. A life of self-sacrifice, yes. And I've been blessed to choose such a life. Many times Paul and I have had an abundance physically, but other times we've been in want. Yet our cup has always overflowed spiritually.
I'm happy to hear that. But Timothy, you could have it all in Ephesus. A good life, both physically and spiritually, just as Jonathan does.
You both seem very confident in your ability to pursue riches while pursuing kingdom interests. Yet our Lord said that this would be more difficult than a camel entering the eye of a needle.
But it's not wrong to want a better life, is it?
Only when the pursuit of such a life becomes the priority. That's when a man becomes divided. You cannot slave for God and for riches, Philetus. I've been greatly blessed in pursuing kingdom interests.
No doubt. But what kind of stability could this traveling life bring you? By the way, Timothy, how's your mother back in Lystra? Could she use a bit more help? It can't be easy being a widow.
She is such a dear sister.
Are you really concerned about my mother, Philetus? Or are you just trying to further your point? My mother is serving faithfully back in Lystra. The brothers there have lovingly helped me care for her needs when I can't be there personally.
Charity, this is merely an example how you could do so much more with your connections, with your abilities, and your experience. Surely you want to reach your fullest potential.
Timothy, Philetus is right. There is no telling what you could achieve here.
Let me be straight with you, Timothy. When I see young ones like you, I worry that certain brothers are not looking out for your best
And
interests.
you, Philetus, are you really—
Please, let me finish. I've heard the words of our brother Paul in his letter, with all his ramblings against the, how did he put it? Uncertain riches? Senseless and hurtful desires and the like? Don't you think he's become a bit unbalanced?
Oh, definitely.
I pray that all of our brothers acquire such a zeal for the kingdom.
I'm only telling you what many people feel in their heart, but are afraid to say.
Be careful, Philetus. The heart is treacherous.
Yes, but that cuts both ways. Paul has spent more time in prison of late than administering to the congregations. Of course he says that the great minds of this world are in darkness. If he admitted that this nation was the greatest and most enlightened in history, which it is, he'd be admitting that his own choices in life have been unwise.
I think that you are the one that has been misled, Philetus.
You say that, but Paul is the one who writes these letters from a prison cell. A bitter old man, alone with his thoughts, stubbornly clinging to the ill-advised course he chose decades ago. It's clear to see, Paul is out of touch with reality.
Our brother Paul is very much in touch with kingdom realities. This is something that fleshly men without faith cannot fathom. Christ appointed Paul as an apostle to the nations. Jehovah is richly blessing his ministry. How dare you
But
say
could
that?
it be that Paul promotes his personal ideas? This talk about the love of money from a man that has nothing.
Honestly, Timothy, how seriously can we take that?
Have you forgotten that Jesus had nowhere to lay his head?
Paul admonishes husbands and wives. Yet, what does a man with no wife or children know about family responsibilities? No, Timothy. He teaches his own warped beliefs, not the commands of God.
Philetus, stop thinking like a fleshly man. I admonish you to stick to the helpful teaching handed on by the apostles. To reduce the Christian way of life to a life of comfort and convenience would be to miss the purpose of God's undeserved kindness.
Timothy, is that a way you speak to an older person who offers his hand to you? Philetus...
It's okay, Jonathan. It's okay. I understand, Timothy. This must be very upsetting to you. After all, Paul has been like a father to you.
Rather than holding faith and a good conscience, you speak like Hymenaeus and Alexander. You well know that such men were handed over to Satan.
Hymenaeus and Alexander? Is that a threat? Is someone conspiring to expel me from the congregation? You're too young for that, Timothy. I have been a Christian since you were a mere boy. Jonathan, let us not waste any more of Timothy's precious time.
Timothy.